welcome to this week's episode. Well, where are we going today? Well, we're not going to be in Rhode Island. We're headed into Connecticut. Why? Because in order to stay humble, you have to be in touch with your roots. So for me, my story begins down here in Connecticut in a tiny town. So that's where we're headed. So with that, I still have a lot of highway miles ahead. So I will see you guys in town. Alright, so here we are off the highway, starting one of my favorite routes back to where it all began. Where I was living when my love of motorcycles started, really where I spent most of the time growing up. And it is quite the scenic road. So, enjoy it with me. So, as I already said, today's topic is really a reminder to everyone, and I quite literally mean everyone. A humble man is a wise man, because that is the person who isn't going to overreach, isn't going to make the mistake of hubris. Pride and confidence are admirable traits at times. They can get out of control, but that's where humility comes in. That's where being humble comes into play. One of the easiest ways to remain humble is by doing exactly what I am today. Getting in touch with your roots, getting in touch with where you came from and where your journey started. And as you can see, for me, it's here in the hills of southeast Connecticut. While I was born in a different state and lived in Michigan for a time in between, this is really where me becoming me began. This is where most of my childhood memories began. I was barely 4 years old when my family moved to this part of the country. And we stayed here, with the exception of the summers that I spent out with my grandparents. Here and in northern Rhode Island is where I spent my time before I joined the Navy myself. And there's always been the allure of coming back to this part of the country. I mean, in just a matter of hours, you can go from being in downtown Boston to being here in family-owned farmland and small town. And when I say small town, oh boy, are you gonna see a small town in Connecticut. Quite literally, blink and you miss it. And look at this. This used to be my daily scenery. I mean, not so much the farm, but the rolling hills. And I had always dreamed of having a motorcycle and riding up and down these hills and through these curves that I spent so much time on growing up. And now here I am, over 20 years later, doing just that. Let's see what the old neighborhood looks like. Oh wow. A lot of change. Bush is overgrown. Kind of surprised at the condition. The house looked nice. The yard, bit overgrown. But this really is where it all began. Let's get back on the road and enjoy some of the twisties. Small town, Connecticut. Wasn't much to do but daydream, get in trouble, and be bored. But that's where things got to be dangerous, because alcohol, drugs, and other things, other problems are born from idle hands. Thankfully, I avoided the worst of it, but it also, being in this sort of town and situation, really started to shape my gauge of who to trust, who's a friend, who's not, who actually cares. So yeah, this is where it all began. This is really my sort of area, and of course you're going the same way as me. Up around here, so there's a hill coming up here on the backside of it that I used to race down on my bike as a kid. It'll be interesting to see what it's like on this baby. Now that I'm older and it's not pedal power. Go right, go right, go right. Damn it. Yep. Now you too, go right. Good. This is my favorite turn. the simple things in life really can bring you the most joy. Church and school are still there. And the community center. Ah, they actually gave it a name. But yeah, the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are lacking in is that small dose of humility, remembering where you came from and the journey that you've had to deal with now. Now, some people have had tougher roads than others, and that is normal. That is life. No two people have it exactly the same, and the road that we walk down shapes us and shapes our future, and it all comes down to how you respond to it. So here I am from tiny town Connecticut, essentially. And now I'm living in a higher population area. I'm making a living doing things that I love. And I get to play with all sorts of electronics and advanced technologies. Have for close to 20 years of my professional life now. How can you not be thankful for everything that you have when you've gotten to this point? I mean, life can be crazy in the directions that it'll take you, but never forget where you came from. Never forget those who have helped you on your way. Never forget all the little lessons that you've had to learn, both easy and difficult. But yeah, never forget where you came from. Never, because as soon as you forget where you came from and you lose touch with your roots, that's where people tend to quite literally lose themselves. And I really just wish the best for everyone in everything that they do. There are very few people that I wish ill things against. But with that, this has been an enjoyable ride through the areas that I knew as a kid, and I'm glad you all came with me. If you want to join me on the next ride, stay tuned, and until then, keep your head on a swivel and ride safe, my friends.